Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411. It is Christmas 2025. At the end of this week's recap, Amanda and I decided that we were not going to release the final episode of the Bobby Spencer series because we don't want to ruin your holidays.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And so Amanda had the great idea of, well, why don't we re-release the episode that we recapped all of the previous, what did we title it? Hold on. It was originally, it's still going to be titled Christmases of Port Charles Past. And we released it on December 19th, 2019. It was our first year podcasting. We felt like we had to get every stitch of information on the show from the previous 50 years.
Right.
To you as soon as possible. We didn't know how we were going to structure this though. So when we were coming up on the holidays, we're like, oh, well, what did they do for the previous Christmases? And so I can't believe it's already been. So we didn't have.
Oh my gosh.
That episode did not cover 2019. So we have for today's episode, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, and 24, which is just crazy. So what we're going to do is if you're listening to this December of 2025, or probably anytime in the future, it is going to be a two-parter because the original episode was an hour and a half long, about give or take 10, 15 minutes-ish, but it was pretty long. So then we're going to separate this other chunk into its own part two, I guess.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get started with, and for some reason, there's more information about some years than others out there. So that's just what it is.
I feel like it's some years, Thanksgiving this year was 2 weeks of them talking about Thanksgiving and getting ready. And then other years, it's like Thanksgiving is barely an entire episode and then they've moved on. And I feel like they do the same thing with Christmas. There's lots of planning certain years. And then other years, it's like, oh, we're at the Christmas party. They read the book. We're done. Over.
Right. So in 2019, it is the year that Finn is Scrooge. But so there's a lot more detail with that. But if they didn't do that, there wouldn't be as much detail. But it's that's the bulk of the information is not leading up to it. But also, so we're using Curly Q Girl again, but then she stopped at 2020.
Okay.
So we didn't have her as a resource. So then jumped to Soap Central and just basic Google searches. There are YouTube videos. This was kind of a last minute decision. So neither of us had an opportunity to watch. I feel like some of them, they're going to be fresh in your mind. And then you're going to say, oh my gosh, that was only 2 years ago. I totally forgot that happened.
Right.
So in 2019, many residents of Port Charles gathered at General Hospital for a Christmas party. I like how just residents, we don't go to our local hospital's Christmas party.
Nope.
No. Monica read "Twas the Night Before Christmas" to a crowd and made up of both children and adults, all fully absorbed in the moment. When the reading ended, Finn was eager to leave and get Violet home, while Anna preferred to stay longer. Oh yeah, and this is when Finn and Anna were together. She pointed out that Violet was enjoying herself. Tracy was also anxious to go, despite Ned, Brooklyn, Monica, and Michael trying to convince her that Christmas was more than donations and business. Brooklyn remarked that she had hoped Tracy had changed, while Monica reminded her of her family's legacy. Maxie attended with Peter and James, invited Finn and Anna to a party at the Floating Rib, but Finn declined. He explained that he wanted to keep things simple since Violet was without her mother. Liesl commented that the holidays seemed like a good time to put aside their differences. Is this when Hayden would have left?
I don't know. It
must
have
don't remember
been.
either.
I mean, if he was making such a big deal about it being the first Christmas, I feel like that was around the holidays that they were supposed to buy the house in the fall and move forward. So
yeah. Anna showed Finn how easily Violet was socializing with the other children. Yeah, so this had to have been his first holiday being a dad, having his daughter with him. He was a dad for 5 years before it without knowing.
Right.
Because we love doing that to guys. Yay. Although Valentine did the reverse to Lulu.
Yep.
That was a fun one to pull off. Anyway, Finn checked his watch, clearly ready to leave. Robert walked over with Violet, who repeated something Finn had said. Anna quickly led Violet away while Robert teased Finn and slipped a candy cane into his pocket, calling him Scrooge. I forgot how much I love Finn and Robert's
Mm-hmm.
friendship. It didn't start there, but they got like the cutest little bromance a few years later. Just then, Curtis arrived and announced that the storm had closed the roads and no one could leave. Monica asked Michael to bring her another book and gathered the children again to read A Christmas Carol. Man, they were really expecting a long night then.
Right.
As Monica began reading, Finn started to recognize himself in the character of Scrooge. He noticed Tracy nearby with her family, and when she admitted she felt the same way about Christmas, they shared a hug. Both agreed that the holiday felt like a retail event, prompting Anna to joke that they deserved each other. And just remember, Tracy and Finn were like really good friends. As the story continued, the scene shifted into a dramatized version of A Christmas Carol. Scrooge worked late on Christmas Eve with his clerk, Bob Cratchit. His nephew Fred stopped by to invite him to dinner, but Scrooge dismissed him with a bah humbug. Curtis appeared as a charity collector, asking for donations, and Scrooge responded coldly. And I need to Google who was Bob Cratchit on General Hospital in 2019.
I bet it was Michael.
No, it was Roger Howarth. It was Franco.
Oh, okay.
Howarth. I'm always going to mispronounce his name. I am so sorry. If you are listening, I'm sorry. So anyway, Curtis appeared as the charity collector asking for donations, and Scrooge responded coldly, suggesting that the poor dying would reduce the population. Oh, and I think that it didn't say Finn is Scrooge. I'm sure that was alluded to with this, but still. After reluctantly granting Cratchit Christmas Day off, Scrooge returned home, chased away children asking for charity, and enjoyed a meal alone in bed. His maid suggested his house might be too large from him. Says Leslie Charleston played Mrs. Dilber, so I'm assuming that might be who.
Okay.
Fandom has an entire write-up of Yep, so that was Mrs. Dilber, and she was portrayed by Monica Quartermain, Leslie Charleston. But he brushed her off. Later that night, the ghost of his former partner appeared in chains and warned him that 3 spirits would visit, offering him a chance to avoid the same fate. And that was Tracy as Marley.
Perfect.
Back at the hospital, Monica continued reading. Violet grew uneasy and asked Finn to sit with her. And sorry, his nephew was Wes Ramsey, Peter, August.
Oh, okay.
So I am reading this. This was what Curly Q Girl had written, and I did not just go to our regular General Hospital fandom to just read this.
Right.
Back at the hospital, Monica continued reading. Violet grew uneasy and asked Finn to sit with her. Soon the ghost of Christmas passed. It was Eden McCoy, because remember, it was always the youthful.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Joss. And she led Scrooge through memories of his youth, including a lively party hosted by Fezziwig. And that was, do they just have the whole cast? Yes, thank you. They have the whole cast at the bottom.
Okay.
And that was Ned, Wally Kirk. And in the past, Harrison Chase, his brother, played him as young Scrooge. I'm just going to say the character's name so we don't have to keep going back and forth on that. So Scrooge was watching his younger self, Chase, turn away from Joy and from Belle, and that was Willow.
Oh, okay.
At the time, Chase and Willow were together.
Mm-hmm.
The woman he loved, choosing work instead. Later scenes showed Belle leaving him and eventually finding happiness with someone else. I don't know if it's not mentioned who that was. That would have been weird if it was Michael.
Yeah.
Next came the ghost of Christmas Present, which was Dr. Obrecht, who showed Scrooge his nephew's cheerful gathering, where guests laughed at his expense. They then visited the Cratchit household, where the family shared a modest meal but genuine happiness. And Mrs. Cratchit was played by Liz, and Tiny Tim was Hudson West, was Jake.
Aw.
Scrooge noticed Tiny Tim's illness and feared for the boy's future. The ghost reminded Scrooge of his earlier cruel words before disappearing. At the final stroke of midnight, the ghost of Christmas yet to come, which was Ava, appeared in silence. She showed, that's the perfect, because that was always the Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
She showed Scrooge scenes of his lonely death, people dismissing his passing, and his belongings being stolen. He then saw the Cratchit family mourning Tiny Tim's death. When Scrooge realized the grave before him was his own, he begged for a chance to change and fell into the grave. Scrooge woke up Christmas morning, overjoyed to learn that he still had time. He gave generously to the children outside, bought a turkey, visited his nephew to apologize, pledged to support charity, and went to the Cratchit home to offer a raise and paid time off. He joined them for dinner as Tiny Tim blessed everyone. Back at the hospital, Monica finished the story, explaining that Scrooge became like a second father to Tiny Tim. The group applauded. Curtis returned to announce that the roads were clear. Tracy surprised everyone by offering to stay and help. Finn suggested going to the floating rib after all, explaining that the story helped him see Christmas through the eyes of a new father. Violet echoed Tiny Tim's blessing as Anna smiled. And
Aw.
so the other characters was Dick Wilkins was his like buddy when he worked at Fezziwigs, and the young one was Chad Duell, so that's funny, or was Michael, so that's when Michael and Chase were like BFF, and the older one was Robert.
Aw.
Yeah, and Fred's wife was Maxie, and that was at the time when Maxie was dating Peter,
Mm-hmm.
and Brooklyn was just a friend of Mrs. Dilber, the housemaid.
Okay.
And then, like the next day, that was a Friday episode. So the following Monday, at Rice Plaza, Curtis dressed as Santa and welcomed children one by one. Jocelyn explained American Christmas traditions to Dev, who shared the history of St. Nicholas. Trina took photos of Cameron, teasing him about how good he looked, while Cameron focused on finishing his community service so he could get home. Jason arrived with Danny and Scout. Scout wished for Sam to be home, and Curtis gave her a magic candy cane, saying it would help her and Sam remember happy moments together. Alexis later joined them, and Jordan expressed sympathy for Sam's situation. Do you happen to remember what Sam's situation was in 2019?
I can't remember why she was in jail, but doesn't she get out like at the last minute? Wasn't that like their Christmas surprise that we'll get to? I'm assuming that's when it happened.
Elsewhere, Sam reads Christmas cards in her cell until Nell returned and taunted her. When Sam snapped back, Nell reported her. Instead of punishment, Sam was called to see the warden and was unexpectedly granted parole, leaving Nell stunned. Jason brought Sam home to Alexis, Danny, and Scout, reuniting the family. They decorated together, grateful to be together again. At the Quartermain house, the family gathered, sharing gifts, music, and familiar tension. Tracy questioned business direct decisions while Monica focused on family traditions. Ned played guitar, and everyone sang carols together. Meanwhile, at Sunny and Carly's home, Gladys stayed for Christmas, struggling with grief over her son.
Hmm.
This was before we knew that her son was Brando, and she was saying that her son was dead and he wasn't,
Right.
because that didn't happen until the hook, and that was,
Yep.
yep. Despite tension with Jocelyn, Sunny offered comfort. Later that evening, Dev and Jocelyn stepped outside and spotted something unusual in the sky. When the others joined them, they all looked up in wonder, believing they had just seen Santa.
Hmm. So then in 2020, Christmas Eve in Port Charles mixed holiday traditions with growing fear and uncertainty. Earlier that night, Sunny and Julian plunged into the river after a confrontation. Jason jumped in after them, calling out for Sunny. When he later climbed out, soaked and searching the riverbank, police arrived with a helicopter overhead. Officers recovered a body from the water, and Jason watched as the bag was opened to reveal Julian. Realizing Sunny had not been found, Jason slipped away. At home, Carly left Sunny a worried voicemail. The house was decorated for Christmas with the tree lit and gifts underneath. When Dante arrived instead of Sunny, Carly welcomed him in, placed his presents under the tree, and admitted she couldn't reach Sunny. She later introduced Dante to Donna and told him that his return to Port Charles was the only Christmas gift Sunny really needed. After Dante left, Carly found Jason waiting and demanded answers. Elsewhere, Maxie and Peter met outside the Metro Court and decided not to wait any longer to learn their baby's gender. Across town, Finn welcomed Chase and Gregory for their Christmas poker tradition. As they played cards and drank root beer, old family tensions surfaced but were handled calmly. I loved their relationship. They were so cute.
Yeah.
At the police station, Alexis was questioned while Dante confronted her about driving drunk. Sam later insisted that Alexis agreed to rehab in order to be bailed out. Alexis refused, and Diane walked away. Soon after, Chase informed Sam that a body pulled from the Hackensack River was believed to be Julian. Jason returned to Carly's and explained that Sunny had fallen into the river. The two rushed to the scene and searched the riverbank together. Jason reassured Carly that Sunny was strong and the search efforts were underway. At the hospital, Sasha pushed Brando away at first, but later shared hot chocolate with him in the park. He talked about childhood Christmas memories, and when Sasha noticed mistletoe overhead, she kissed him on the cheek before leaving. Laura thanked Kevin for stepping in as Santa for the pediatric ward, and Martin arrived with gifts for elderly patients. The three later shared a quiet holiday toast at Kelly's. Back at Carly's, the family continued decorating. Michael showed Wiley a new ornament, and Carly tearfully explained that Sonny might not be home for Christmas in time for Christmas Eve dinner. Jason later received confirmation that Julian's body had been identified and left to support Sam. Lucas stopped by to spend time with Wiley while Carly struggled to hold things together. Elsewhere, Alexis secretly drank at Jordan's apartment and was confronted by Molly, who asked her to leave. Later, alone at home, Alexis saw the news about Julian's death and dropped her phone in shock. Curtis clashed with Portia and Trina over secrets involving Taggart before ending up alone in the park where Jordan eventually found him. That's funny. All that drama between Curtis and Portia and Jordan, Curtis
Right?
and Portia and
Except for he was
Jordan.
married to Jordan at the time.
Right. And then on Christmas Eve, Jordan found Curtis sitting alone in the park and asked him to come home. Curtis admitted he wanted that, but said that he still had serious issues to resolve. He felt Jordan often kept things from him, especially regarding Taggart and Cyrus, and said this wasn't the marriage he wanted. Jordan promised there would be no more secrets, but Curtis told her he couldn't believe that yet and asked her to leave. At Jordan's apartment, Molly confessed to TJ that she had slept with someone else while he was missing. She explained the mixed messages and Jordan's comments had led her to believe he didn't care anymore. Molly admitted it had been Brando and apologized, but TJ asked for time alone. Later, he confronted Jordan and her role in the situation and accused her of hiding the truth. Jordan admitted she had suspected TJ had been kidnapped, but claimed she was trying to protect Molly. When she said that there was still more she couldn't share, TJ walked out, leaving her alone with her Christmas tree. I felt bad for Molly then because she really did think that he just like got mad, totally ghosted her, and was done.
Hmm.
At the Corinthos house, Michael and Willow agreed to stay the night. Carly later answered the door to Chase and a police officer who informed her that Julian's body had been recovered and that Sonny was missing. Jason arrived shortly after, and Chase indicated he had questions for him. Once alone, Carly broke down, admitting she feared the police had come to say Sonny was dead. Elsewhere, Britt confided in Jason that she felt guilty about Julian's death and feared Cyrus was responsible. Jason reassured her and encouraged her to leave town. Britt revealed information about Cyrus's drug operation and said she wanted him stopped. Later, Franco returned home with gifts, briefly lifting the mood. Cameron struggled emotionally, and Terry reassured him that it was okay not to be okay. Scott later joined the family, and Cameron played guitar as the night wound down. At the hospital, Britt accepted an invitation from Maxie and Peter to join them for Christmas Eve. Liesel saw Britt hugging Peter and warned that his downfall was coming. Later, TJ found Molly in the park. They talked through what had happened and agreed they still loved each other and wanted to try to move forward one day at a time. And then on the 29th, Anna and Finn prepared to attend the polar bear charity dive. We haven't heard about that. I feel like that was like a one and done.
I know. They did it like 2 years in a row.
Ugh, that's a shame. Finn admitted there were things he still couldn't share about the past, and Anna agreed it was sometimes better to focus on the present. At the pier, residents gathered for the annual charity event, but the jump was delayed. Chase and Willow were surprised to see each other and talked quietly about Sunny and their past relationship. Gregory arrived and met Willow, unaware they were no longer together. When it was finally time to jump, the crowd took position. Chase reached for Willow's hand, and together they leapt in the icy water.
Then in 2021, at General Hospital, the pediatric ward served as a central location for Christmas activities. Staff and volunteers decorated the space and brought children and families together to create a sense of routine during the holiday. Before Santa arrived, Laura Collins gathered the children and read the Christmas story aloud. Parents stood by as the children listened. After the reading, Kevin Collins appeared dressed as Santa and greeted each child individually. He took time with the families, while Lucy Coe helped organize the event and keep things moving smoothly. During the celebration, Martin Gray arrived carrying wrapped gifts. He explained that the presents were intended for elderly patients, so they would be included in the holiday. I forgot about that. Why doesn't he do that still?
I don't know. He was so good about doing
Because,
it when they talked about his mom all the time.
yeah, she didn't die,
Nope.
right? She hasn't died. Okay. Laura later invited Martin to share a holiday meal, continuing to build their family connection. The hospital was also the setting for more difficult moments. Sasha Gilmore and Brando Corbin spent their first Christmas after the death of their newborn son, Liam. Both continued to struggle with the loss, and the holiday highlighted with the loss and the grief. And Liam died the week before Christmas
Mm-hmm.
because we love to do that. Elsewhere in town, residents gathered in Rice Plaza for the annual Christmas tree lighting. The plaza was decorated, and neighbors stood together for the ceremony. Elaine Ashby welcomed the crowd, and Laura spoke supporting one another during the halls before lighting the tree. Many stayed afterward to enjoy the lights and talk with friends. Throughout the week, smaller holiday moments filled Port Charles. Homes and public spaces were decorated, gifts were exchanged, and families were kept to familiar routines. The Quartermain Mansion, Brooklyn, spent time with Bailey Liu near Christmas tree while publicly presenting the baby as her own. Maxie Jones, who knew Bailey was actually her daughter, remained nearby, relied on Brooklyn to keep her safe. Valentine Cassadine believed Bailey was his child with Brooklyn and participated in holiday moments based on that understanding. Another storyline that was running alongside was you just mentioned that Sonny and Julian, and that's why I kept that in there because that was really important that Julian just died because that's how Sonny wound up in Nixon Falls, even
Right.
though it wasn't really Christmassy. It was a huge, huge thing that happened because the following Christmas involved Nina and Sonny while he was thinking he was Mike. While Sonny's family in Port Charles celebrated Christmas believing that he was gone, Nina knew that he was alive and living in Nixon Falls under the name Mike, and she did not share that information. And I think she found that out shortly before the holiday, right? Like it wasn't, or no, I guess it was over the summer. It was over the summer.
Yeah, it
Never
was over
mind.
the summer that she ended up in Nixon Falls for whatever reason, and then just
Yeah,
kept that. I mean, that's why Carly was so devastated. It wasn't like, oh, I was leaving for a trip and I saw him and I figured I'd tell you when I got back in a week. It was months and months of Nina pretending like she had this whole life with Mike when she knew that Mike was Sunny.
right. In Nixon Falls, Sonny spent Christmas without any memories of his previous life. Known there as Mike, he acknowledged that he did not know who he used to be and focused on the life he was building in the present, unaware that his family in Port Charles was celebrating the holiday without him. I don't know why that basically just reiterated the same thing, but it did. Other small moments rounded out the season. At the Metro Court, Violet paused to admire a snow globe, reflecting the quieter side of the holiday as adults worked to keep Christmas steady for the children around them.
See, that one was short and sweet.
Yeah, but I feel like there's still a ton missing, but I just
I don't
couldn't.
remember anything. I mean, that doesn't mean it didn't happen, obviously, but I don't remember anything crazy happening that year other than we were focused on Sunny and Nina because we were tired of that storyline by then and we just wanted it kind of like how we feel about the Willow trial now. Like, can you just give us the
Right,
answer and have us move on?
right.
So
Yeah, like
20,
this year's Christmas season isn't really, and I mean, we don't know what's going to happen over the next 3 days, but we haven't really had much leading up to it.
it feels like it was Thanksgiving last week.
Right, like there has not been the Christmas tree lighting. All right, we can talk about this later. Let's
Yeah. Sorry.
get us into 2022.
Alrighty, so Christmas week settled over Port Charles as a winter storm closed roads, grounded flights, and pushed people indoors. Homes, hospitals, and public spaces were decorated with lights, trees, and garlands as the town continued its holiday traditions, even while investigations, losses, and unfinished conversations unfolded alongside them. At the gatehouse, Michael raised concerns after Willow fainted and suggested that people should know about her diagnosis. Willow strongly disagreed, insisting she wanted privacy and did not want her illness discussed publicly. She blamed Nina for stirring trouble and pointing out that Sunny continued to support Nina, which had only widened the divide between Michael and Sunny. Michael insisted his focus was on helping Willow fight her illness, but Willow felt his anger towards Sunny continued to influence his choices. The conversation ended unresolved when Michael stepped out briefly, and that was obviously whenever she had her leukemia. At Dex's apartment, Dex told Jocelyn he was trying to do the right thing and wanted to be honest with her. Their conversation led to a kiss, but the moment was interrupted when Sunny knocked at the door. Joss hid as Dex left him inside. Sunny questioned Dex about what happened after he was shot, pressing for details about where he went and who helped him recover. Dex tried to keep the explanation vague, but Joss stepped out and admitted that she had taken Dex to safety and helped him heal. She explained she believed Dex had been shot while working for Sunny and acted to save his life. Sunny made it clear that the situation complicated matters. Joss refused Sunny's offer for a ride and left. Afterwards, Sonny warned Dex that Jocelyn could not become a distraction and told him to stay focused on his job. At Kelly's, Christmas decorations and a toy drive filled the space as residents dropped off gifts. Cameron worked behind the counter while Spencer arrived, newly released early from Pentonville. Dex later entered, and Cameron explained Dex's ties to Sonny and his presence near several Hook-related incidents. Jocelyn soon arrived carrying toys for the drive and overheard Spencer warning Dex to stay away from her. Joss immediately objected, saying Spencer had no right to interfere in her life. Dex left angrily, Spencer followed, and Cameron was left trying to steady the situation as the holiday activity continued around him. At the PCPD, Jordan praised Rory's work and asked if he planned to attend the department holiday party. Rory asked if he could bring a guest, referring to Trina, and Jordan agreed. Dante arrived with updates on the Hook case, and Rory asked to sit in. After leaving Jordan's office, Rory discreetly photographed a confidential page listing smugglers connected to Port Charles before heading out. Rory later responded to a call about an apartment door left ajar. He announced himself and entered. Moments later, Dante heard a gunshot and forced his way inside, finding a man bleeding on the floor. Rory emerged from another room, badly injured, and identified the attacker by saying, "The Hook," before collapsing. Rory was rushed to General Hospital, where Portia, Finn, and Elizabeth worked to stabilize him and ordered anti-venom. Trina arrived with Curtis, Jocelyn, and Cameron. Portia explained Rory had lost a significant amount of blood and was bleeding internally. As Rory was wheeled past, Trina ran to him. He briefly removed his oxygen mask and told her he knew it had been too soon to say how he felt, but he did not regret it, and then lost consciousness. Afterwards, Trina went to the hospital chapel and broke down. Jocelyn joined her and lit a candle as Trina questioned why she had not been able to return Rory's feelings. Curtis arrived to take Trina home. Nearby, Dante checked on Jordan, and she notified Rory's family of his death. Lab results later confirmed snake venom, reinforcing fears that the Hook killer remained active. And poor Trina, he said that he loved her and he wanted to be with her and all that wonderful stuff. And she just had something holding her back because she was having feelings for Spencer, but couldn't admit that.
Right.
At Windermere, Elizabeth continued checking on Esme, who remained locked in the tower. Esme insisted she was not the Hook and urged Elizabeth to question Nicholas about the night she went over the parapet, also implicating Ava. Esme asked Nicholas for a Christmas tree, recalling a childhood memory of choosing one herself. Although Nicholas initially dismissed her request, a small tree was later delivered to the tower. Alone, Esme decorated it using whatever she could find, twisting toilet paper into makeshift garland and draping it across the branches, along with a few simple ornaments that had been brought to her. As she was working, she sang a distorted version of Jingle Bells, altering the lyrics into something mocking. Later, she taunted Nicholas about loneliness and captivity, confident she would find a way out. At Alexis's house, family members gathered to exchange gifts. Spencer remained withdrawn until Alexis checked on him. He admitted he feared becoming like his father. Alexis reminded him that while he could not escape being a Cassadine, he could choose how he lived. During the gathering, Christina announced that she had started a charity clothing drive to support the LGBTQ plus youth, explaining that it had given her a renewed purpose. And that was whenever she was talking about starting that whole community center for them.
Yeah, that we just decided that wasn't going to happen.
Right. Curtis and Portia marked their first Christmas in their new home, and Marshall was present. Marshall gave Curtis a framed family photograph from Curtis's first Christmas showing Marshall with his wife, Thomas, Curtis, and Stella, who appeared blurred after accidentally setting the camera timer too fast. Curtis was touched by the gift. Trina later presented a blue ornament outlined in gold bearing Rory's badge number 8012. She added a soda can tab to the ornament, explaining Rory had once given her a soda when they first met and another after she was exonerated. That evening, Spencer arrived at the door to wish her a Merry Christmas. Inside, Spencer apologized for Esme's presence in Port Charles and suggested helping lure her out. Trina insisted on being involved. They agreed on a plan to pretend to turn towards each other, believing it would draw Esme out. They shook hands before Spencer left in the snow. At the garage, Sunny encountered Sasha working on a motorcycle. Sasha explained that she was repairing Brando's bike, drawing on skills she already had. Sunny joined her and helped her with the repairs. Britt later arrived after her car spun out nearby and briefly mentioned that she had not wanted to spend her last Christmas in Port Charles that way before attempting to retract the comment. Rice Plaza became the center of Christmas celebration with the gingerbread jam. Brooklyn worked to keep the event running after Chase initially refused to perform, feeling betrayed by her involvement in decisions affecting his career. To energize the crowd, Brooklyn announced an ugly sweater contest, naming Dante runner-up. Mac and Felicia arrived wearing festive ugly sweaters, with Mac disappointed he missed the contest. Nina and Sasha appeared dressed as Mrs. Claus and an elf, greeting Sunny and Donna. Donna gave Nina a Christmas ornament and Sasha gave Donna a candy cane. When Sasha asked Donna what she wished for, Donna replied that she wanted Sasha to have a happy Christmas and a happy New Year. She is so cute. Chase and Blaze eventually took the stage and performed their duet, Don't Give Up on Love, followed later by Silent Night. Behind the scenes, Liz criticized Blaze and demeaned her performance. Chase told Brooklyn he would not only work with her professionally and could not move past how she had interfered in his future. At Spring Ridge, Heather visited Ryan. At Spring Ridge, Heather visited Ryan and dressed him
Yep.
in a Santa suit, later adding antlers and a red nose while commenting on his behavior. She attempted to treat the visit as festive despite Ryan's lack of interest. When Mac arrived with Dante and Felicia, Heather was ordered to step away from Ryan and leave the area. As the storm worsened, Jocelyn's car slid off the road. Dex stopped to help and gave her his coat while she contacted a tow truck. They talked and kissed again before the tow truck arrived. Joss left without apologizing, telling Dex not to make excuses for her choices. Ellie arrived in Port Charles from Portland with Georgie and reunited with Spinelli. They spent time together in festive holiday pajamas, catching up and talking openly. Ellie and Spinelli discussed relationships, and Ellie encouraged him not to give up on Maxie. Later, Ellie received a call from Griffin Monroe, revealing that she had begun seeing someone. That was another thing that didn't go anywhere that I was so
I
excited
know.
for.
I know.
Meanwhile, Maxie became determined to reach Portland to be with Georgie despite canceled flights and worsening weather. Refusing to give up, she explored alternate options and learned that Crimson had access to a private aircraft hangar. Nina offered to help arrange travel using Crimson's resources, and Maxie pursued the possibility of flying on a private jet to bypass commercial cancellations. As conditions deteriorated, the plane ultimately fell through. Instead, Spinelli drove Georgie through the storm so the two could reunite. When they finally saw each other, Maxie thanked Spinelli for always being there, and he reassured her that she would never face life without him. At the Quartermain
Aw.
Mansion, I know, they're so cute. At the Quartermain Mansion, road closures turned Christmas into an open door gathering. Molly and TJ arrived after their car was blocked by the storm, followed by Cody, who reported major roads had been shut down. Olivia then welcomed a stranded pregnant woman whose car had broken down. With travel impossible and weather worsening, Olivia insisted everyone stay. During the gathering, the woman went into labor. With no OB available and no safe way to reach the hospital, Britt and Sasha arrived by motorcycle through the storm. Britt coached the woman through the delivery inside the mansion. The baby was born safely, a girl named Noelle with the middle name of Britta, chosen in Britt's honor. That was so cute. I do remember that.
I know.
That was a good Christmas.
And then in 2023, Curtis, Marshall, and Trina went Christmas tree shopping together. Like, we haven't had anyone Christmas tree shopping.
I know.
Debating the size and placement while sharing family memories. Marshall talked about Christmases from Curtis's childhood and how Curtis's mother, Irene, loved the holiday. Curtis reflected on how Irene and Stella always made Christmas feel special, even when he later realized how much sacrifice went into it. Trina eventually stepped away after receiving a text, promising to return later to help decorate once the tree was delivered. and it might get into this further. I think this is the first year that Trina knew that Curtis was her dad.
Mm-hmm.
2023, 2 years, just so we put this in perspective of where we are right now.
Or wait, did she know last year? Because it said that they celebrated in their first in the house. Did they live together before they got married? I can't remember.
I think they did, but I don't think. Okay, we'll leave that. Change all that. I don't know. I didn't
I
go and
can't
check.
remember. Yeah, I can't remember if they lived together before they got married or not.
At the Collins apartment, Esme prepared to move herself and Ace into a new place. Spencer offered to drive them, but Esme declined, saying she needed to rely on herself and do this for Ace. Spencer struggled but accepted it, sitting with Ace and promising he would always be Ace's big brother. After Esme and Ace left, Trina arrived and talked with Spencer about accepting the change and putting Ace first. Later in her new apartment, Esme tried to decorate a small Christmas tree with Ace. As she reached to place an ornament, memories of the previous Christmas at Windermere came rushing back. The ornament slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. Christmas preparations at the Quartermain mansion began unevenly. Lois was stunned to find the house completely undecorated. She told Olivia this would not do and immediately began recalling old Quartermain Christmas traditions. Boxes of ornaments were opened and decorating started. Cody arrived carrying a Christmas tree and joined in, admitting the Quartermain estate was the first place he had felt at home in years. The progress came to a halt when Tracy walked in, surveyed the decorations, and declared, "No, no, 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 this will not do, not at all." While decorating drama played out at home, Monica Quartermain was firmly at work at General Hospital. Finn was called into Monica's office, where Monica and Tracy met with him about the malpractice lawsuit. Finn stood by his treatment. Monica said he was an excellent doctor and an asset to the hospital, and Tracy agreed. Finn left relieved when the hospital's chief counsel later warned Monica that the case could threaten the hospital's future. Monica refused to reconsider, repeating that Finn had done nothing wrong. As Christmas approached, smaller gatherings formed. At Finn's apartment, Elizabeth hosted a holiday get-together with Finn, Violet, and Gregory. When Brooklyn and Chase arrived, Chase lit the Christmas tree and announced their engagement. Violet immediately jumped into wedding questions and later surprised everyone by singing while Chase played guitar. Gregory later read The Night Before Christmas to Violet before bed, and she asked him to help her choose a song to sing at the wedding. At Christina's apartment, Molly and TJ asked Christina to be a surrogate. Molly apologized for how she had treated Christina in the past, admitting she had felt entitled to motherhood. Christina forgave her and agreed to help them build their family. Around the same time, Christina was growing closer to Blaze, and they shared family stories at Rice Plaza, held hands, and Blaze reassured Violet that Santa was real before breaking into song with her. Blaze later agreed to give Violet singing lessons. Back at the Quartermain mansion, tensions peaked during a large family gathering when Willow arrived wearing light-up antlers. Lois announced that she had enough antlers for everyone. Olivia and Brooklyn joined in immediately. Tracy refused, argued loudly, and finally shouted, "You win," as she put them on. Shortly after, Monica arrived home after slipping on the icy driveway. Yuri wheeled her into the living room, and Tracy suggested that Lois should leave so Monica could rest. Monica shut that down, saying she liked having a full house. Privately, Monica reassured Lois that she was welcome and admitted that she enjoyed both her company and seeing someone else sticking it to Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
At the hospital, Sonny offered to pay for all the Christmas decorations and celebrations. Felicia joked that he was like Santa Claus, which caught the attention of a young patient named Lindsay. Lindsay bluntly told Sonny that he didn't look like Sonny and worried that Santa wouldn't find her since she was stuck in the hospital. Sonny knelt down, talked with her about Santa, and asked what she wanted for Christmas. Lindsay said she wanted a light-up trace pad, the same thing that Sonny's daughter wanted. Stella later thanked Sonny and talked to him about Mike, remembering how much he loved Christmas. Sonny also arranged for a nursing scholarship in Epiphany's name. Why don't we have the results of this every year? Every year, Liz should be interviewing. There should be a panel interviewing.
Yep.
I'm on a scholarship for my company, so you do this. Like, she should be going through this and talking about it every single year. Christmas Eve included moments of reflection. Donna asked Sonny to see a picture of Mike and noticed the cap that he was wearing. Later, she found the cap on a bench in Rice Plaza and returned it to Sonny, explaining that she had wished for it. Sonny told her Mike believed in wishes and would be proud of her. Donna hugged Sonny, and he quietly wished his father a Merry Christmas. Curtis and Portia's house, Christmas traditions continued. Curtis, Portia, and Trina made a new ornament together, continuing their yearly ritual that we have never heard before.
And how yearly was it whenever they, like, didn't know that he was her dad for all those years.
Right. It's not like Trina and Portia introduced Curtis to their tradition. Maybe
Right.
that was but okay. So last year, though, Trina did have that ornament that was Rory's badge number. Maybe she made that.
Maybe.
Okay. When Spencer arrived, Portia hesitated but invited him to stay and help. Spencer fixed a broken strand of lights outside and later gave Trina diamond earrings. That is drastically underplaying it because Spencer went outside and Portia and Curtis were trying to assess the lights to see like which one was out. And Spencer was like, "Can I help?" And Portia was
Yeah.
Portia-ing to him. And he still went ahead and he's telling them, I really like Trina, I'm not going to do good by her, whatever. And then he's the one who found it. And he's like, "Merry Christmas." Or he said something like that.
Right.
Marshall reflected with Stella about celebrating his first Christmas with a granddaughter. Oh, so yeah. So last year, but wait, we didn't have Marshall. Did we have Marshall last year?
Yeah, because he had taken the picture.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, he just found out that Trina was his granddaughter, and his regrets about the past and losing Irene. Stella offered comfort, and the two briefly danced before pulling back. At Laura and Kevin's penthouse, Spencer, Trina, and Joss exchanged gifts. Joss opened a dartboard with Spencer's face on it. Esme arrived unexpectedly and apologized to Trina for her past actions, thanking her for encouraging Spencer to let go of Ace. Trina accepted the apology but made it very clear that forgiveness did not mean friendship. And then there was another scene where Charlotte was wrapping gifts with Laura and Kevin, and they were watching. This was not at the same time. This was like a completely different day. And they watched Christina Comes Home for Christmas because that was Lulu's favorite movie. And later she examined her scar and put on Helena's necklace, raising concern for Laura and Kevin. And Kevin, she was putting the necklace on and like looking at her scar in her room. And Kevin had walked in with like hot chocolate and she was kind of snippy with Kevin. And he's like, "Your door was basically open." you
Right.
know, you didn't have it shut the whole way. It was like half open. So I nudged it with a tray of hot chocolate. Hey, hey, hey. And this is when the tarot cards were in play that we still have no idea what that was all about.
Hmm.
For Carly's house, Carly and Donna called Bobby to wish her a Merry Christmas. Earlier, Joss had invited Adam after learning that he planned to stay alone on Christmas Eve because he was afraid to go home and disappoint his parents. Adam joined them and played guitar for Donna, but later reacted badly when Joss tried to arrange a last-minute flight home. Joss also made a Christmas special for Dex after he had shared that the holiday had been difficult growing up. He explained that his family went through the motions, but Christmas was never happy. I mean, he shared abuse.
Right.
It wasn't just it wasn't happy, it was abusive. Joss responded by keeping things simple and intentional, sharing takeout, talking about getting a treat, and focusing on making the night feel relaxed and real instead of forced. At Maxie's house, Georgie proudly showed off her gingerbread house while Maxie admitted she was struggling to get into the holiday spirit. Spinelli arrived soaked after a pipe burst in his apartment and ended up staying, adding to the crowded but familiar Christmas Eve atmosphere. And then at Liz's, Christmas played out in the kitchen. Aiden baked while Finn and Violet visited. Later, when things quieted down, Aiden told Elizabeth that there was someone he liked. With encouragement, he explained that it was a boy named Tobias, someone he connected with through baking and science. Aiden talked about how they bonded over experiments, renewable energy projects, and the science behind baking. Elizabeth listened carefully, asked thoughtful questions, and reassured Aiden that she was glad that he trusted her enough to tell her. Aiden hugged her, relieved, and Elizabeth told him that she loved him. In another room, Jake talked with Violet about Santa. Violet admitted that she was worried Finn might go to jail, and Finn later assured her, explaining the situation and easing her fears. And then as Christmas Eve came to a close, families gathered at General Hospital for the annual holiday tradition. Laura and Finn led the reading of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas, with children including Leo, Donna, and Wiley listening closely. When Laura finished the final line, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all good night," the room responded with smiles and applause. The moment it ended, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" played as the crowd lingered, closing out the Christmas Eve in Port Charles and marking what would have unknowingly become Monica Quartermain's final scenes. Okay.
I'm glad that was the last sentence. You're good. So, on to 2024, the season truly came alive at the Port Charles Christmas tree lot when pine-scented air and holiday music wrapped the town in nostalgia. Lucky found himself there with Elizabeth, sharing moments that felt suspended in time. As they searched for the perfect tree, Lucky teased Elizabeth about her legendary decorating habits, how every year she insisted she'll keep things simple, and every year she goes completely over the top. Elizabeth laughed and didn't deny it. Christmas decorating, she admitted, is one thing she never does halfway. It's how she makes her house feel full, warm, and alive no matter how much life has taken from her. Back at her home, the meaning behind that philosophy became clear. As they unpacked ornaments together, Elizabeth explained which ones were handmade by the boys, which came from school projects, and which marked milestones from years past. None of it was random. Every ornament carried a memory, a piece of love she refused to let disappear. Lucky quietly took it all in, realizing that her version of Christmas was about anchoring herself and her family in joy and continuity. As the tree lights began to glow, Lucky shared the news that mattered most. He wasn't leaving Port Charles. Elizabeth's relief was immediate and unguarded in that quiet, glowing room. Lucky picked up his guitar and serenaded her with Elizabeth, the same song he'd written and performed years earlier. It wasn't flashy or grand, it was tender, nostalgic, and deeply personal. In a town teetering on chaos, the Christmas moment felt like home. Across town, Rice Plaza buzzed with holiday cheer, string lights crisscrossed above vendor booths and donation tables as families gathered with hot drinks and laughter. Gio performed live music for the crowd. His voice helped set the festive tone. It was there, amid the music and movement, that Gio noticed a young woman weaving through the plaza with quiet purpose. She handed him a wallet, explaining she'd taken it after witnessing the owner swindle a vendor. Moments later, Gio overheard the same man loudly claiming his wallet had been stolen. When Gio confronted the girl, she explained she didn't want praise or attention, just justice for the vendor. It was a small Christmas morality tale playing out under twinkling lights. The girl would later reappear as Emma, revealed to be Anna's surprise guest, a reminder that every chance holiday encounter in Port Charles carries weight. But the joy at Rice Plaza fractured as the night wore on. A group of college students, fueled by alcohol and rivalry between PCU and Landview, began arguing. Dex, now working as a police officer, stepped in alongside another cop. He diffused the situation, confiscated the alcohol, and walked away to pour it out, creating distance from the crowd, doing everything right. That's when someone came up behind him and stabbed him without warning, disappearing into the chaos. Christmas lights glowed overhead as Dex collapsed, bleeding, the music still playing nearby. He was rushed to General Hospital, where it initially appeared he'd survive. While Rice Plaza grappled with the shock, the Quartermain Mansion prepared for its annual Christmas party, a tradition as legendary as it was volatile. I can read, I swear. As it was volatile. The house was decorated to excess, garland and lights framing a towering tree as family members packed into the living room. But instead of mingling, nearly everyone was focused on the PCU football game. Oh, this was so good. When the cable went out,
Mhm.
Jocelyn streamed it on her phone and Michael cast it to the TV. Even Dex watched from his hospital bed. Tracy Quartermain grew increasingly irritated as her carefully planned party turned into a sports viewing party. Finally, she marched over to shut it off herself. It wasn't from Jocelyn's phone, it was from Michael's phone, because that's how we ended up showing the video.
But was Jocelyn the one who got it to stream?
I don't know. It
Like
was his
was
phone
it
though.
the
It
whole
said maybe she
right,
was the one that
right,
set
but
it
was it
up, like
from
Michael. Maybe, but
right?
it said
Yeah, like he
Jocelyn's phone.
didn't
It was
know how to
not.
stream it, but she
Right. Instead, the television began playing a different video, one that no one was prepared for. On the massive screen, unmistakable footage of Drew and Willa's affair filled the room. Shock froze the gathering in place. Tracy and Ned burst out laughing in disbelief, while Michael stood devastated. Willa looked utterly exposed, and Drew lost any control he thought he had. Carly immediately moved to protect her son, and Michael shut the video off. But the damage was done. Christmas was over in that room. Willow tearfully confronted Michael for keeping secrets, while Carly defended him fiercely. Nina panicked, convinced custody was about to become a weapon, and urged Willow to take the kids and leave. As they headed for the door, Carly stopped them cold, insisting this wouldn't be handled impulsively, not even on Christmas. The tree remained lit, the decorations intact, but the Quartermain living room had become a battlefield. Elsewhere, Christmas carried quieter weight. Cameron surprised his family by coming home, only to announce he'd be leaving again with his girlfriend. Elizabeth insisted they celebrate immediately, singing together and savoring what time they had. Christina dropped off a gift for Alexis but couldn't stay, still too fractured to face Molly. Later, she spent the night at Sonny's penthouse, admitting she wouldn't have survived the year without him. Snow fell outside as Sonny smiled, then winced, clutching his chest before heading to bed. At General Hospital, the holiday took its darkest turn after earlier being declared on the road to recovery. Dex suddenly crashed and died. Elizabeth immediately suspected foul play, but the truth soon emerged in chilling clarity. Cyrus Renault had murdered Sam by injecting her IV with digitalis, tying together multiple tragedies that had haunted the season. Jocelyn, devastated, later believed she saw Dex's ghost in Rice Plaza, a haunting image of love lost under Christmas lights. Amid it all, Lulu Spencer's Christmas became one of reckoning and resolve. Awakening from her coma, she reunited with Rocco and learned of everything she'd missed: Luke's death, Nicholas in prison, and Sam's sacrifice. Tracy welcomed her back to the Quartermaine mansion with sharp honesty and unexpected warmth, reminding her that Rocco had waited 4 years for his mother. When Rocco finally confessed he'd been in contact with Charlotte, Lulu didn't hesitate. She left Port Charles immediately, flying to Prague in search of her daughter. At a quiet cafe, Lulu and Charlotte reunited, laughing and clinging to one another, until they noticed Valentine watching from outside, turning a Christmas miracle into a looming nightmare. Dun dun dun. I wonder what happens next.
Yeah. So yeah, like there's definitely been some years that have been so much heavier, but like especially where we just lost Monica on the show. Like,
Right,
why aren't they going through this stuff? Why aren't they having I mean, she hasn't been on for 2 years, and but we're not seeing, okay, so I've at least been under the impression that Laura has, or Monica has at least been the one that's been putting the final stamp of approval on anything that
right,
was going on at the hospital for Christmas. Why aren't we seeing Tracy struggling with that now that it's only her? Like she doesn't even have
right.
Monica to bicker with,
Yep,
because Tracy would bicker with her just to bicker with her before finally giving in, because that's Tracy.
right.
So yeah, I like some of these traditions, but like in 2025, we have not seen no one has a tree.
Uh,
There's no
no,
Christmas tree lighting ceremony in Rice Plaza. I love the gingerbread jam. Like, why isn't that a thing?
right,
Especially, oh, okay, fair enough, because now Gio is not playing music, but that also would have been great for him and Brooklyn to be building relationship and getting him to ease back into music
right.
if
We know from the
they
nurses'
organized it.
ball that other people have talent. So they could have started, let's get together what's going to happen on this. Even if Gio didn't want to perform, I would assume that then they would end it as like, oh, a surprise performance because the spirit hit him or whatever.
Right, exactly. So, or have a quartet that's supposed to be playing in Plaza and, oh no, the violinist is sick. What are we
Right.
going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many things. And I especially think that where we just lost a huge character that is so involved with the holiday,
Mm-hmm.
we should definitely. Tomorrow is December 22nd, and there has not been a stitch of Christmas.
Nope.
There hasn't even been a Mickey Mouse pillow.
Nope.
We failed to mention any of that because Disney heavily sponsors their Christmas.
Yes.
Like it's usually at Alexis's house, has like the plaid Mickeys all over the
Mm-hmm.
pillows and stuff. But yeah, so that is the Christmases from 2019 to 2024. We'll maybe try to do this every 5 years
Yeah, that would be good.
or ever. So that way people can just,
Keep adding
if there's
on.
like a time that people are interested in,
Right.
they don't have to listen to everything. So, but we're leaving the first one as it is,
Yeah.
leaving it as our learning experience. Oh my goodness gracious. But yeah, join us on Monday as hopefully we have had some kind of Christmas episodes to recap.
Have a good weekend.
And Merry Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate.
Happy New Year at
And
that point, right?
no, because this is coming out on Christmas.
This episode we just did?
Yeah, I'm going to release both on Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it's going to be a two-parter, but released the same day.
Okay.
Merry Christmas. That's my gift to everybody. You're getting two Christmas episodes.
Two of us.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to peer54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Peer 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.